This is pretty much all I have left for sunflowers this season, but my sunflower patch has been fantastic. I'm about to rip it out this week, but before I did that, I wanted to do a fairly thorough vase-life test on the different stages of harvest for sunflowers. So here I have sunflowers in all different stages, from completely closed to just starting to show color, to petals starting to lift, even to larger ones that are completely open, like this one right here. The question is though, which one of these is going to last the longest in the vase? Can you pick a sunflower that is completely closed? If they're not even showing any color, will they still open? And will these ones last longer than these ones? Now, a pretty quick search online will tell you that you're supposed to cut them at this stage, but you know I don't like to take anybody's word for it, and that is exactly what I've done over the last 2 weeks. So I have a bunch here that is completely closed. It's a good size, but you can't see any yellow petals. And according to official sources, ones like that shouldn't even open at all. And then we have the next stage, where you can see signs of yellow petals here, but they're still not completely open. These definitely will open up in the vase, but they might still take a couple of days. In the next one is what you're usually told to harvest it at. The petals are lifting, but it's still not completely open. And this one will likely be mostly open within 24 hours. And then the last stage that I've cut, which are these ones that are completely open, you may think might not last as long, but that's exactly why we're going to do this test. I have a couple different varieties here with me today. These ones are an unknown branching sunflower. This one is Pro-Cut Horizon, which is fantastic because you see it stands straight up, which makes it really great to work into bouquets, versus other ones that sometimes face sideways, like this one, which is also a side shoot, but these are Pro-Cut Gold Light. Now a quick peek at these Gold Lights, and you'll notice that all of the pollen is showing. It's a little bit fluffy in the middle, and when they're cut really fresh, that has not happened yet. So these ones definitely won't last as long. But the ones I'm about to show you, most of them haven't started to show their pollen yet. So let me put these down, and we'll go back to the day that I harvested all of these flowers. Now I cut 10 of each one, starting from these ones just showing some yellow, and then lifting up off of the face, and then fully open. I also went back afterwards and cut a few that were not showing any yellow at all, because I know all the sources tell us that these will not open, but as I said before, I want to see that for myself. So I want to know which ones you think are going to last the longest. Let's call these 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you think it'll be the same as online sources, or if you think it will be different, write it down in the comments now, and we'll find out in just a couple of minutes. There were also a bunch of larger sunflowers that were ready, so I cut these and brought them home to put in the entrance of my piano studio, because I really like to have different fresh flowers in there to greet my students when they come in each week. Now all of these sunflowers were transplanted this year. We had a historic 4-month-long drought that is still going on, by the way. We had another really large wildfire pop up that's out of control about an hour from here. We are feeling the smoke up here an hour away from that fire with no rain in sight. So no relief from the drought yet, even though it is October tomorrow. So today is September 30th. Luckily, the sunflowers that I transplanted survived because we went away out of the country for 10 days, pretty much right after I planted these. I also put a whole bunch of seeds in the ground, and almost none of them came up. So what happens with sunflowers is if you plant them fairly close together, like these ones, you'll get nice small flower heads that are really easy to work into bouquets. But if they come up really sporadically, like these ones that I direct seeded, you get these big, giant, these seed heads are about 8 inches across, which is why they're still here. It is no way that I was going to use these in bouquets, so I just decided to let them bloom out, and now the birds are happily enjoying the seeds. Sunflowers come in a wide range of yellows, whites, creams, even deeper plums and reds, but not blues and pinks. If you see photos of those online, those are fakes. Sorry to tell you. They're getting a little closer on the pinks, but most of them are more red-orange. These ones here are all Pro-Cut, either Horizon or Gold Light. I also found this White Light. I planted a few of those, not many came up. Since this one was looking good, I decided to cut that and bring it indoors as well. Sunflowers also come in both single stem and branching, often single petal, but there's some really good double varieties that are being bred and are currently on the market from a lot of your regular seed suppliers. What I'm cutting now are mostly side shoots, which is a bonus because the pro cuts that I usually grow aren't supposed to be branching, but I'm finding that the ones that I grew this year most definitely are. And at the beginning, the side shoots were really long and very prolific. So I got an extra 2 weeks worth of harvest off of each of those rows. And my garden focus is very much on cut flowers, which is why we are doing this vase-life test. I have 10 of each stage that I cut, so hopefully we'll have a good thorough test with solid results. I'm going to take matching jars, fill them with regular tap water, and we're on a well, so there's no chlorine or anything in the water. And I'm adding nothing to the water, not even flower food. I'm going to trim the stems down, and they are going on this antique dresser because it's out of the way and doesn't get any direct sunlight. Direct sun or excessive warmth on your cut flowers will cause them to age faster and wilt sooner. These ones with the lifted petals is normally what I would put into bouquets. That's because they're open enough to tell you what they are, but not so open that the petals are going to get bent or crushed in the bouquet wrap. Most sources will tell you that sunflowers will last roughly a week. Sometimes you'll even see a site that says 7 to 10 days. Keep in mind that we put nothing in the water other than adding more when it got low. We did not trim the stems. I did not change the water or move them into clean vases at all. All I did was top up the water. And we know that trimming the stems and putting them into clean water will help the vase life, but I wanted to see what would happen if we did none of that. And actually, that might be a good idea for another vase life test next year. I'm going to keep that in mind. Keep in mind that sunflowers are thirsty. Unfortunately, these large ones completely drained their water and I didn't notice for a day or so. So they looked a little bit sad and didn't really recover after I filled them back up, but I still got a week out of them. You can see the petals are lifting, but they aren't fully open yet. And 48 hours later, they have opened beautifully. Notice they're still green in the center. This is a really good way that sunflowers show their age, and if they're allowed to open out in the field, the center turns yellow much quicker. And this is another 48 hours, so a full 4 days, and the center still has some green, but you can see the fluffy yellow around the outside. 2 more days pass for a total of 6 since we cut these. In fact, it still looks really good at a distance, but this is when the water had dried up completely, so the petals are starting to age, and by the next day, day 7, they were looking pretty sad. So I replaced them with a bucket of flowers that was left over after I had finished making some bouquets. Now on to the main event. Here on day 1, you can see these sunflowers, 10 of each, about 30 minutes after being cut outside. I brought in the white light and these completely closed buds that I had almost forgotten about, and I put them beside our main test vases. And now after 48 hours is when you'll see the biggest change. The closed buds that were showing yellow are now almost completely open, and the other ones still look great, but you'll see that the green center that we noticed in the larger sunflowers is most pronounced in the flowers that were harvested when still closed, and the most open ones are completely yellow and fluffy in the center. Also, one of the completely closed buds has already begun to open, so that is a really nice surprise. At the 4-day mark, they don't look all that different than they did on day 2. A bit more mature in the center maybe, and the petals are a little bit more open. After 7 days, they still look great. The younger flowers still have that nice green center, and I should mention that that is specific to this variety. A sunflower with a dark center will not be green, but that's one reason I really like this gold light variety. And that is what I had the most of when I wanted to run this test. They are now a little bit fluffier in the middle, which is to be expected, and the main 3 jars are completely open and looking fabulous. And some of the buds in the first jar are actually continuing to open as well, and that I think is the biggest surprise so far. And now we are 11 days later. This is the final footage that I took. The sunflowers that were fully open are definitely finished, but the younger ones look a little bit better. The youngest, in fact, from a distance still look pretty good. But when you look closer, the green foliage is all starting to yellow and look a little bit sad on pretty much all of them by now. So the conclusion that we can take is that harvesting when closed, but showing the petals, especially with color, is the best stage to harvest for the longest vase life. The challenge is that in a farmer's market situation, those might not sell. So it might be best to mix in a few that are almost open along with a few closed buds. so that that bouquet continues to grow when your customer brings it home. So that concludes this experiment, I think. I'm pretty happy with the results. They're not really surprising, except for the completely closed buds that opened a lot more than I expected them to. So back to my sunflower field. Today is September 30th and still a massive drought, and it's unfortunately time to say goodbye to these plants and turn them into compost to fuel next year's garden. So I will be ripping them out, but they've done really, really well for me this year, and now all I can do is plan to go bigger and better for next year. So I hope you found this helpful. I have big plans for my YouTube channel this year. Please like this video and subscribe, and if you're still here watching, go follow me on Instagram as well. That's where you're going to see the most up-to-date news from the garden. I post a couple of times a week. But for now, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.